We're going to start on our menu planner, session 4, menus and cycles. So I'm really excited. I saw so many of you this week at the SNA shows. We heard a lot of positive feedback and it sounds like it's going well for everybody. So yay! All right, so by now you should have all your buildings in. We should have all of our ingredients in, looked over, made sure your nutritional information is correct, changed the name on items that are going to go directly onto our menus, should have created your recipes, checked that nutritional information to make sure that it's all correct. And now we're going to start making the little squares that are actually going to go, we'll pop those onto the calendar. We'll do that in our next session. So I'm going to log in here. And then we're going to go to menus. And then this is where we are going to start today. I have to choose my school, which I only have the one school, so I don't have to do that. If you have multiple schools, it might ask you to choose a school. So you could be your district or your school. Okay, menus. So everybody does their menus a little bit differently, but what we have found to be the easiest way is to start with a base menu that you create is called an everyday menu. Now you don't have to call it that, that's just what we choose to do, but that's your items that you serve every day. So you can kind of go through, look at your menus. At the very least, I'm sure that you would serve milk every day, but there's, you might have certain breakfast items that you serve, peanut butter and jelly sandwiches that you serve every day. The reason that we suggest you do this is it just simplifies the process for you so you don't have to keep doing these steps over and over and over. And then we're going to make this everyday menu, and then we're going to keep copying it over and over as we build our menus. So we are going to go here to menus. And for some reason, mine doesn't let me create one. Well, you have a thing up here that says create a new menu, but for some reason, I don't have that. Well, that's okay. We're just going to, I tell you what, I'm just going to log out of this. Plan B. All right, back to menus. I don't want that. Sorry, trying to remember which school I want to get. All right, so we'll start here. So we're going to go to our menus. I apologize for that. That was probably a little confusing. So we're going to start making our everyday menu. For some reason, this create menu wasn't coming up on mine. I'm not really sure why, but so you'll click on create new menu. We're going to name our menu. We're going to just call this our everyday menu. You could call it whatever you want. We can color code this. The reason that they have the color coding is this was a request from some schools to help you organize. It's something you could do or not do. It's completely your option. I'm going to make mine black. We don't have to worry right now about our breakfast or lunch serving count. And then we're going to come down here and now we're going to start making our everyday menu. Again, we have, just like when we have recipes, we could do item and then we could go to a recipe. I'm just going to put some items on. So every day for breakfast, I'm going to serve a breakfast pizza. So it brings down here to this holding area. I'm going to drop it into what I want it to be. This is an on, oops, try again, drop it. Come on. This would go under the entree. Obviously, if it's a vegetable, a fruit, or grain, I'd put those in those spots. I'm also going to serve some juice every day. Come on. And I can put that under my fruit. Then I'm going to do the same process for lunch. Every day for lunch, I think I'll serve an Uncrustable. Now, I hope you all are noticing a mistake that's here, that all these have these long descriptions. When I did my one that I can't get access to, I went through it, I did change all these names. So on my published menu, this is going to say a peanut butter and jelly Uncrustable. Fruit and veg bar, you can put things in here. Just know that the program sees this as offered versus served. So it will count towards your nutritional information, but it's not going to count towards your SLE information, your school lunch equivalencies. So if you need those to count, put that fruit or vegetable item here under the breakfast or lunch tab. Okay, then we're going to go to our milk, and I'm going to just type in milk. I'll tell you a little work around the milk. Milk is milk. So if you are using the program for your nutritional information to keep you compliant, you could just pick a Gordon Food Service milk. Might not be where you're purchasing your milk, but the nutritional information is not going to change. If you're going to use the menu planner and break down the cost of all your menus, you might want to use the milk where you get your the milk that from your supplier if it's different than Gordon Food Service, or you could use a Gordon Food Service and just know that that milk price might be off a few cents. Okay, and now we do have to do something here with our milk. So you notice this milk type. It always defaults to skim unflavored milk. Well, obviously this chocolate milk is not skim unflavored. This will be a low fat flavored milk. And then I will put in another milk. Let's get a, oops, to spell it right. Let's get a, let's trying to find a skim milk, but we'll just do this one. And I'll bring this and pull this down. And I'm going to say that this is my skim unflavored milk. I realize that it's not, but we're just going to pretend that it is. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and then we're going to submit this. And now when I go back to my menus, you'll see it right here on your page. So here's this everyday menu that we just created. Now I'm going to use this as my base menu to start creating my menu squares are going to pop onto my calendars. So I'm going to take this everyday menu that we just made. I'm going to click on the detail so I can bring it up. I can see it, and I'm going to copy it over here on the right, copy. Now it says everyday menu copy. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to change this name, and this is going to be my burger day. You could name these whatever. It could be week 1 Monday, burger day, cycle 1, day 1, however you like to name your menus now, just do that same process. Now I can go through, I'm making this burger day. I can put down here how many I think I serve for breakfast and lunch. And what it will do is it will divide that number equally amongst my entrees here. I'm going to do mine manually, so I'm not going to put my information up here. So we are doing breakfast, and I'm going to add, I'm not going to do anything different with our breakfast, but I do have to do some things different here. So I have this breakfast sausage gravy. I see that I have a grain. The USDA says we want to know what type of a grain you're using. So this is a whole grain. So I have to go in here and I have to make this a 1.5 if I agree with what the program says. I have to do that same thing whenever I have a juice. The USDA says, okay, we have a half a fruit. If this source for this fruit wasn't a whole fruit, where did it come from? Well, this came from a juice. So I'll put my 0.5 here. I would have to do that same thing if I had like a V8, a vegetable juice. I'd have to do that same thing over here as a vegetable section. If I ever make a mistake or we are no longer purchasing this item, but I want to keep my everyday menu or any of my menus intact, you can delete this. You can edit, you can make changes. So now I'm going to go on to my breakfast. I'm going to go on to my lunch menu. And, oops, hang on here. I think I made a mistake here. I just couldn't remember what we made for products last time. I am going to find, I'm going to go to a recipe. And then we made that cheeseburger recipe. I don't know if it's going to come up here because I did not share it. I'll just do that deluxe burger. So I'm going to do this deluxe cheeseburger. And I'm going to, it was a recipe that we made. I'm going to drag it and I'm going to drop it here under my entree. I'm also going to serve some Uncrustables. 516761. Come on. Oops, because I'm under recipe. So I have to toggle this back over to item. And then I'm going to type that in there again. 516761 is my item code for this Uncrustable. And I'm going to drag that and, come on. Drag that under my entree. The order that the entrees are in under this entree section is the order that they're going to show up on your published menu. So if you have a preference, I would go ahead and do that. Again, we see that this sandwich is 2 grains, so the program wants to know, or the USDA wants to know where those grains came from. I'm going to have to do that same thing with my cheeseburger. Oh, looks like I already did that one. Well, I just didn't see it there. Okay. I'm going to add an apple as well. Whoops. So I'll add apple. I'm just going to pick this one. I'm going to drag it and drop it down under my fruit. Now when we do a fruit, because it's a whole fruit, we don't have to worry about letting the USDA know the source of the fruit because it's a whole fruit. So we're going to go through, we continue to do that. We'll estimate now how many students do we think we're going to serve. So my breakfast, my pizza, my school's only 100 kids. I think 80 of them are going to have this breakfast pizza. I think for my lunch that 40 kids are going to have a cheeseburger and 40 kids are going to have a PB&J. Oh, hang on. I have to let Christina back in. She's my helper and somehow she can't get in. All right, I think you're back in, Christina. So we did our breakfast, how many we're going to serve. We did our lunch, how many we're going to serve. My apples, I'm going to serve, every kid's going to eat an apple. They love them. And then I'm going to do that same thing with my milk. On my milk, I have a breakfast tab and I have a lunch tab for my milk. So of my 80 kids, I think are serving breakfast. I think 40 are going to have, well, I guess probably 80 would have the milk. They're all drinking chocolate milk. And for lunch, I think 40 are going to have chocolate and I think 40 are going to have the white milk. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to submit this. And I'm going to go back here and edit because I wanted to change the color. I'm going to make this stay yellow. And then I'm going to go ahead and submit that. And now when I look at my menus, here's that burger day we just created. You shouldn't have so many menus like this, but here's that burger day we created. And here's an everyday menu we created. So to go on to make my next menu, I do the same process again. I'm going to find my everyday menu. I'm going to edit, or excuse me, back that up, back here. Everyday menu, copy, rename it, change the color if I want, add my information to my items that are already here. So that's pretty much how we do that. I did have a lot of questions from people about when you have menus and you have a lot of menus like this. Maybe you started the program, we first started and then COVID hit and everything went haywire and you want to start from fresh. You can go to your menus and we can click on this detail and we could go to edit. And you can deactivate a menu. You can deactivate it, you could delete it. Both of them, all that it does is it just hides it from your view. So then when you go back into your menus and your views, you won't see those menus anymore. All right, so from there, we're going to go to menu cycles. So click on menu cycle. I don't know if everybody does a cycle. If you do not do a cycle with your school, you can skip this step. So cycles, we're going to add a new cycle. And then how many weeks do you want your, well, actually, first you have to name your cycle. I'm going to make this a 1 week cycle. So the number of weeks would be 1 week. I can color code this again if I choose to. I'm going to make mine pink. And this information will all be when we first set up the program and step 1 on the home page, making our buildings. We already designated this information. And then these are some menus that I already have done. Now it's just a matter of dragging and dropping those little menu squares that we made from the everyday menu onto our cycle. So I'm going to take this Monday, I'm going to drop that here. I made a Tuesday, I'll drop that there. Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Oops, and Friday. So now I have all my menus in here. As I was putting my information up here, it was putting that information down here. Now this is my analysis. On these menus that I have, I don't have breakfast items on there. They're not the same ones that we just created. But see all these reds? So I would know, okay, I have a problem here with my fruit, and I can go to my Monday. I can look that up and see what I did wrong. I can look at my Monday for my grains. I have some issues here. Now I'm going to go on. I'm going to look at my lunch. Okay, my lunch, it looks pretty good. I want to see these greens. Yellow, don't worry about the yellow. That's just where it's kind of a gray area right now with the USDA. There's not a max on the amount of grain. It's more of a max on the calories. So don't worry about that. My milk. See how these are all red? I'm positive that when I put my milk in this particular menu, I didn't check that box. Remember, we have to defaults to that skim unflavored, skim fat-free unflavored. Remember that chocolate milk, we had to change that because that's not what that was. So that's why these are red. So if you see that, you know you need to go back and fix your milk. Everything else looks good. Looks like I'm a little short on calories. So maybe I need to add some, take some away. I can kind of look at my menu. So this is nice. Before you get it all done, you can verify, make sure that everything's looking good. And then from there, we'll submit this. And now when I go to my menu cycles, now I can see that cycle that we just did. It's right here, this 1 week hot pink. And that's my cycle that I did. If I ever want to make a change to it, again, I click on this detail and I would go up here and I would edit it. I can copy this to my other schools if I want to. I can, the cycles of production shows me that it's in production when I've used it. I can print off a PDF export of this cycle. I'm not sure how everything's going to go right now. It may take a little while. But that's pretty much how we do our menus and how we do our menu schedule, our cycles. So did it print? It didn't even make my PDF export. If it did, it's below and I can't see it. I apologize. Oh, that's what I want right here. So are there any questions? You can put those into the chat box. And if you have any questions about, actually, I'm going to unmute everybody. I think you can go ahead and unmute yourselves. I don't believe I muted you. So if you want to unmute yourselves, and if you have any questions, you're more than welcome to ask those now, or you can always type those in. This was a pretty quick class. Wow, very quiet today. All right, well, if there are no questions, I know everybody's pretty busy. I will let you go. As always, come to that home page if you have any questions. On your home page, you'll see it right here, hpsmenuplanner.com, and we'll be happy to help you out with those. Otherwise, enjoy the rest of your day and try to stay cool. Boy, is it hot, especially in the South.